We always find Mondays great days. It's the start of a new week, new opportunities. And for some of us, places to build momentum, and for others, us just kind of a time to wipe the slate clean. So I wanted to get into a couple of different things with all of us today as we continue our conversation. And, one of the things that I find most effective in performance and growth is routines, right? Really, your morning starts the night before, but if you don't have a morning routine, you don't have an evening routine, it really impacts your ability to perform, right? Because if you're starting your morning and it doesn't really go well, how likely are you to do the things that you proactively promise yourself that you're going to want to do? Do you know what happens when you have bad mornings? You go back into doing all of that busy work that is not productive, right? Things that you can do later, things that are more defense than offense. So I want to take a few minutes before we got into today's session and start to actually talk about that. Then I want to share with everyone an actual system we could do on how to more proactively grow our business. And third, review the effective keys of the seven keys to having effective conversations. So the first thing I want you guys all to really think about is, do you have a way that you end your day? And do you have a way that you start your day with purpose? Now, I'm probably going to offend somebody by saying this, but it's okay. We all need to hear it. If you're starting your day with email and Instagram, you've already lost. Like, your days have to start with purpose, right? Like, you didn't wake up in this world to say, hey, let me go in my inbox, which is an organized system for other people's agendas, right? And you didn't say, hey, let me go look at what everyone else is doing. That has nothing to do with you. Your mornings have to be planned and purposeful. And the whole part of a morning routine is to create consistency and put you in a specific state. Yeah, I start with coffee too. I'm with you on that one. Right? So, look, planned and purposeful, right? Like, how are your mornings planned and purposeful? How, right? Now, if you go back and look at what you did this morning, is it planned? Is it purposeful? And does it get you into a certain place? Is it planned? Is it purposeful? Does it get you into a certain place? Ask yourself, I want you to write down, I want everyone to take a moment and write down, what did you do this morning? When you woke up, what was the first thing you did? What was the next thing you did? Right? So for the first 60 to 90 minutes, how do you do it? Take a moment, write that all down. I'm jotting mine down and I'll share it with you as well. Yeah, if you don't follow your morning routine, the whole thing is start off, right? So most of the time, if you wake up and you're hungry, most of the time, if you wake up and you're tired, it's because you're dehydrated, right? So you should drink 8 to 10 ounces of water to start your day. The second part of this going forward is thinking about, if you brush your teeth, there's a thing called neuroassociation, the way your brain connects one thing with another. And what you realize is when you brush your teeth, you don't ever go back to bed, right? So for those of us that have problems with the snooze button and wanting to get back in bed, if you can drink water, put some music on and just brush your teeth, you'll be awake and you'll start your day. Try doing it and try to go back to sleep. You'll sit there feeling weird, right? Then the other things that you want to do is, what do you do to put your mind in a certain place, right? What do you do to put your mind in a certain place? How do you go about doing that, right? Because look, you all have to write this down, self-awareness, right? What are the things that throw you off that good mood that you can be in, right? Part of the reason is staying off the phone in the morning is you see something you don't like, it changes your whole day, doesn't it? So if you're going to see something you don't like, you might as well wait till 9 o'clock, because in real estate, there's nothing really that important before 8:30 or 9. So write down, like, what am I going to do differently now, knowing this stuff, right? Look, your headspace is so important. And I don't think enough people put any value into at night, right? At nighttime, if you have to go exercise, you're leaving the house, right? These are like crazy things that I've tracked in my life because I'm just truly a weirdo. If I pack my gym bag in the morning, just like a couple like things, right? Even if I leave the bag in the house versus just bringing all the stuff and put it in my car, there's a 15-minute difference. Because in the morning, you're kind of just walking around and everything else versus you get up, you drink some water, you brush your teeth, you make your coffee, you're out the door, right? So for all the things that you're doing in the morning, are they all laid out and are they all planned? And that all starts with the night before. All of it. Now you start your mornings and you understand how to do this. Now let's go into the next part of this, right? Write down one challenge that you've had with a client over the last week and drop it in the chat. What's one challenge that you've had with a client over the last week? Drop it in the chat. Two answers. Trying to get out of a deal. Discouragement, not getting the offer. They said they want to write an offer, but leaving for the weekend when it's due on Monday. So look, what I want you guys to realize is cutting commissions, clients being discouraged in the market, where the way this market is, are these things that we're going to have to deal with over and over again? Yes or no? Yes. Now, how are you tracking all of this? How? We're not tracking any of it, are we? Everyone shake their head no right now. Just go like this. Holly, you too? No. And this is what the challenge is, right? Look, this is not a job. This is a career. It's not a place you just show up every day. Every one of you, I know, has your heart and soul and effort invested into each client, correct? Every single one of you is mentally taxed when a client asks you for money back, does not show up, or does not do what's right, or doesn't understand the market. Like, all of these different things just keep happening. Who here has more than one time a client asked them to cut commission? Everybody, right? But here's the problem. This is like a problem, or I would call this like an epidemic in real estate. Nobody tracks shit. Excuse my language today. No one tracks anything, right? So logically speaking, why don't we have a sheet, right? Here are your 3 columns that you're going to put in. Challenge, control, response. Challenge, control, response. So you're going to categorize what are all the challenges. At the end of the day, I want you to continue to add to this. This is how you're going to get better. Challenge. What is the challenge? Cutting commission, right? And then you go to control. We all need to understand when these challenges happen, what we can control in the moment. And then the response. This is the script and everything we need to practice, right? Like, hey, Shane, I really like what you said, but the Lince at Redfin said he'd do it for 1% less, right? So I would smile, and what would my response be? Great, so I hear you're trying to maximize the equity in your home. Is that correct? Yes. And if you're happy with DeLince and what he had to offer in the commission he charged, I know your time's very valuable. What specifically had you call me over here this evening? And then let them answer, right? But that's the pre-planned response. Do we all have this response down this well? Probably not, because we haven't practiced, right? So if you're now looking at your sheet, now think about this. If you do this 1 day, 1 month, 6 months for the rest of the year, do you think, logically speaking, since real estate never really changes that much, you'll have an entire ongoing system of every challenge you face, what you can control in the situation so you feel in control when the situations come up, and an actual planned response? Yes or no? Is this complicated to do? No, it's actually quite easy. I share this all the time. The most valuable thing I learned from my manager when I worked at Compass was learning how to think through the same exact situation differently. He would say to me, Shrag, if you learn how to think, just think through it this way, right? Because like when you worked at Compass, if you're going to make something, it either had to be for 2,500 people or that time 11,000 people. If it worked for just one sub-segment, it wouldn't work, right? Because it has to be scalable for all of us. So think about it. The training we make is for agents in 25 different states. At any point, no one really ever says to us, oh, that really doesn't work in our market, because we know how to think through this that way, right? Like the variables are about attorney states and escrow, right? It's most of you guys are in high-end luxury markets. So what works in high-end luxury generally works at all the other price tiers. So these are the things that we want to start thinking about, right? How do we approach this differently, right? So what you can control in a commission cutting scenario is how your emotional status and how you respond. That you don't be combative, that you don't tell them anything. You don't go, well, if they can't negotiate their commission, then how are they going to negotiate? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Don't ever say that to anybody. That's one. Don't start saying, well, do you know all the marketing and all this stuff that I do? If they understood the marketing you did and you explained it clearly, they probably wouldn't be asking you that. So no, they don't understand it, right? You need to bring it back to them. And I'm going to go through the 7 keys to having an effective conversation. But I need all of you to walk away with a clear operating system on how to track and grow your skills and scenarios in real estate, because I promise you they're going to be changing more and more now than you ever imagined. So write this down, right? What are you going to change now? What are you going to change? Based on what I just shared in the first 15 minutes, I want everyone to write down 3 changes and share one of them in the chat, right? So this should be around morning routine, the way they track conversations, and everything else. So I wrote down what changes, right, create momentum in your life. Practice with other agents. Now, here's the next thing you want to do. After you write down those 3 changes, I want all of you to block 15 minutes a day to practice. Ian Breitenbach, welcome to the party. I was just talking to your cousin Matt. Listen, if you just stop for a moment and realize what you have the opportunity to do right now, you have an entire operating system, how you end your day, how you start your day, how you build your momentum, how you think through your business differently, how you track the challenges, and how you ultimately learn how to, they're not objections, they're just questions, people. It's very normal. It's not an objection. Objections lead to someone disagreeing with you, right? Isn't that it? If somebody objects to what you say, isn't that a fundamental disagreement, right? So we call them objections. And how do you generally approach disagreements? They turn out to be combative. Come on, all of us have been in a relationship with a human being and we disagree. It's not like we're talking like, hey, you know, okay, you don't really see that way. Oh, no, it's not that way. Is this all resonating with all of us today? It's almost 6 months through the year, and I believe that we're about to go through more changes in the market than any of us have ever dealt with in our entire lives. There's so many different indicators, right? It's like the whole world blew up, and so did real estate. You have that antitrust lawsuit going in Missouri, inflation, interest rates, war, right? The stock market. There's a lot of stuff going on. This is going to change consumer buyer behavior, consumer confidence. It could literally change it. You have to justify why somebody should pay you 2 to 3% to represent a buyer. So I hope you guys realize how important and urgent this is for you to start tonight. The control column, Amy, was ultimately when these situations happen, right? A lot of times when someone says they're going to cut your commission, here, I'm going to unmute you. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So you say you put your heart into the presentation, you think it's going really well, I'm in agreement and everything like that. I'm like, yeah, I love everything you say, but I'm not paying you that much money. I want to do it for 4%. Does that generally make you feel good?
No.
You kind of feel morally deflated in that moment?
Yes, I don't care for it at all.
Exactly. And that shows up in all of the words that come after it, right? So when we say what we can control, I see David smiling because David's my teacher in this. He's like, ah, Chirag did good in this one. Is what can we control in that moment? Number one is our emotions, right?
Okay.
And when you know what to say next, you can manage your emotions because you know you're going to walk them through a process where they're either going to agree with you, which means they'll be the right client, or they'll disagree with you. And you can say, thank you for saving me countless hours, stress, and money.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? Because if we don't identify what we can control in any of these moments, you're screwed. You can't control what value they see. No, but you know what else you can control? The amount that you practice your presentation so it doesn't ever get to that point. That's something 100% you can control.
And that's on my to-do list. Working on that. Now, I do like how you mentioned the maximizing your equity. I like that line. So I for sure want to use that.
So let's go through this now. For everyone that has one of these workbooks, it's page 46. If not, we'll upload it to our portal. The 7 keys to having an effective conversation. Number one, it's always their choice. Look, if you want to be a discounter and you want to go shop at a discount store or stay in a discount hotel or do discounted things, that's your right. That's your choice. You guys all offer a luxury brand and a luxury service, and just understand it's not right for everybody. Correct? It's always their choice. You're not going to tell people how to feel, think, and do things. It's just delusional. Number 2, the person asking the questions controls the conversation. Now, the example someone used in the morning session is like, hey, Chirag, I have a buyer coming from New York to Miami. How do I give the consultations? I go simple, ask a lot of questions. Because if you spend the whole time talking, how much space does that give to someone to share why they're there, what they want, what their motivations are, right? Like, remember, you have to understand what are their motivations, what are they most excited about as a result of moving, what their expectations are, where things didn't go well, those disappointments, because they affect our present decisions, and ultimately what their concerns are, right? And the only way you're going to know that is by asking great questions. Number three, everything has to be in the benefit of the other party. I want to pay you less. Great. So I hear you're looking to maximize your equity. Isn't that in their benefit? Of course. Number four, always be in agreement with them. Well, I want to get a deal on the market. Great. Everyone wants to get a good deal. So let's see, based on your goals and your expectations, what kind of deals are available to you. And what, by the way, while we're talking about that, what do you think is a good deal in this market? And see what they say. Remember, ask questions. It's always their choice, right? Number five, no telling, no explaining, no being combative. If they tell you they don't want to overpay for a house, but they still have to move and they must get a house, you can't be like, well, and the only way you're going to get a house in this market is if you pay. It's not going to work. That's telling, right? Being combative is having a different point of view. People want to work with people that are excited for their goals. Number six, never show you're attached to any specific outcome. The less attached you are, the more they'll want to do it. Okay, let's pull the offer. Okay, it's no big deal. It's not take. Okay, like people think like when the salespeople are giving them the information they need to succeed, that they're only tied to commission. Number seven, what they choose to do does not mean you have to compromise. If they are commission cutters, or they just want a discount, or they're not willing to pay, that doesn't mean you have to compromise your time or resources. And those are the 7 effective keys to conversation. Does anyone have any questions? Well, if no one has any questions, I'm going to want to give you guys 5 minutes back in your day. And what I want you to do are 3 things. Number 1, write out your evening routine. Number 2, write out your morning routine. Number 3, build out that spreadsheet. Build out that spreadsheet and start putting in the scenarios. Number 4, Matt, was always be in agreement with the client. Brad. Can I give a response? If you guys build out a spreadsheet and there's one spreadsheet, what we can do is a group, we can work through these responses here. So what I would suggest is if one person wants to be an initiator, someone get it, and then everyone else write in that spreadsheet. What's a good evening routine? A good evening routine is getting everything prepared for the next morning, right? And just doing the same set of activities that will have you go to sleep with gratitude and feeling good, right? Some people like watching TV before they go to sleep. It helps them disconnect. Great, go ahead and do that. The biggest part of the evening routine is making sure everything you need when you start your morning is done. So like I'll share for me, I need to make sure that my gym bag is packed. I have all like my clothes in my car. Everything's mapped out. I put the cup of coffee under my Keurig with the thing in there. So I just have to literally hit a button, right? My change of sneakers for the next day is in my gym bag, and all that stuff is put away in my car before the day gets started. I have one of these sleep aid beds. So I make sure that the thing's plugged in, that the temperature's set right, that the thermostats are all right, because sleeping temperature is a big thing. And I like to take like a long 20-30 minute hot, cold shower. And then I watch TV for an hour and I go to bed. Right. And I always, while I'm in the shower, I do visualization and gratitude. And that's kind of my whole process. And no, I'm not an Eagle Scout. I hope my kids never want to go camping, because the idea of sleeping in the woods is not for me. I'm more of a hotel guy. So those are things that I do, but I also know that, like, you know, I very much look forward at the end of any night to the 20, 30 minutes I have to just take a shower. I like listening to music, and it just completely decompresses me. I take my melatonin to go to sleep, and I watch some TV, and that's it. And I go to sleep very happy, right? Like at the end of every day, it's like one of my favorite things to do, and something I look forward to. So another part of evening routine should be things that you look forward to doing. All right, so whoever's doing the sheet, drop the sheet in the chat, and everyone click the link now and we'll get started. And you guys can all start adding in it. Who said they were making this? So just drop it in there and make sure that everyone on the link can do it. Glamping. I'm just going to stay away from this altogether. All right, Lynn's going to do it tonight. All right, so Lynn will have the link first tomorrow. All right, everyone. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to start, everyone can start dumping in the sheet, and we'll start working through the answers and everything together. But most importantly, block the time to work on this. All right?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. With love in my heart, I love you all. I hope everyone has a good and powerful day, and I shall talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.